Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. It is Wednesday, so we are getting our quarterbacks and kickers done and out of the way to help prep you guys for the weekend ahead. We're going to go over the top 24 quarterbacks for those in 2 QB and Superflex leagues. If you have any questions about start sit, please drop those down below. I would love to get back to you and engage. If you're new or haven't quite done it yet, please like and subscribe. It allows me to continue to do what I love and bring you content that you love, and I really would appreciate it. With that out of the way, let's get to this week's quarterback rankings. Our first player on the list is Patrick Mahomes going on the road to face the Titans, who just got absolutely demolished by Josh Allen for 3 touchdowns and 353 yards. The Titans are bottom 6 in the NFL against quarterbacks in the last 2 weeks, and this is also a critical game for Kansas City. If they want to remain in that hunt for the AFC's top seed, I think that they rise to the occasion. Next at 2, it is Kyler Murray against the Texans, and the way that the Cardinals have been rolling, Murray hasn't really had to air it out very much. He has just 750 yards in his last 3 after throwing for over 1,000 in his first 3. It might be the same against the Texans, however, don't be worried about it. The touchdowns are going to continue to come. The final player in our top 3 is Lamar Jackson, who gets the Bengals this week. Jackson has been playing at an MVP type of level. He's going to need to continue that against the Bengals, who are up and coming and are threatening that AFC North. In his last 2 games, Lamar has been on fire with 5 touchdowns, 609 passing yards, and 113 yards on the ground. Up next at 4 is Wonder Boy Matthew Stafford. He gets Detroit in the revenge game. Now, the Rams have been rolling since their Week 4 loss to Arizona, and they should continue here. Stafford balled out last week against the Giants with 4 touchdowns, and this is a plus matchup here for him. Up next at 5 is Aaron Rodgers. He goes against Washington's football team. Now, low volume has certainly kept Rodgers from being able to consistently put up elite numbers. However, he has been uber efficient, and that has kept him close to that quarterback 1 range. Washington allows the most points a game to quarterbacks, so there is giant boom potential here for Aaron. Falling out of the top 5 for the first time in 3 weeks is Tom Brady here at 6, and he gets the Bears. Brady comes in leading the league with 2,064 passing yards and 2nd in the league with 17 touchdowns. He's going to continue to thrive as the Bucs have a high-volume passing attack since their secondary hasn't been able to stop anybody. At 7, it's Jalen Hurts against the Raiders. Now, in real life, I'll give it to you. Hurts is not a stud quarterback, but he is for fantasy purposes and will continue to be for managers. The Raiders are not a scary matchup, and the Eagles need this win to stay in the playoff hunt. We move on to number 8, and that's going to be Joe Burrow against the Ravens. The Bengals right now are sniffing a playoff spot, and they also have a giant opportunity to take control of the AFC North. I think that Burrow was able to overcome a Ravens defense that ranks top 4 in the last 4 weeks against quarterbacks with a big performance here. Ryan Tannehill's next, and he gets the Chiefs. I expect that Tannehill's volume is going to see a giant spike as the Titans try to keep up with the high-scoring Chiefs offense. This is a great matchup for him as the Chiefs allow the 2nd most points in the NFL, and this is a big game for both squads. I expect this one to come out to a shootout, lots of points available. 2 out of our next 3 players are people I promoted on our waiver wire ads. And at 10, it's Matt Ryan against Miami. Now, Ryan has 625 yards and 6 touchdowns in his last 2. I think he continues that streak of success against a bottom 10 defense against quarterbacks. There are going to be plenty points in this game as well to go around. Next at number 11 is Derek Carr against Philly. And after back-to-back weeks where he really struggled, he came back to life in a huge win against Denver, putting up 341 yards and a pair of scores. He has 4 finishes in the top 11, and with this ranking, we expect to make it 5. Our last quarterback ones of the week end with Tua Tagovailoa against Atlanta, who is a bottom 5 defense against quarterbacks on the season. Tua looked solid last week as he came back from injury, and we know that Miami's running attack is an absolute mess, so there's going to be plenty of work coming for Tua. Our lucky number 13 this week hasn't been so lucky over the last 2 weeks. Unfortunately for Panthers fans, the Jets version of Sam Darnold has shown up. Now the Giants are an excellent cure to this, as they are allowing 22.5 points a game to signal callers over the last 4. Next up is Justin Fields, and he gets an awesome top 7 matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was able to add 43 yards rushing on the ground, which certainly helps his upside, and he will have every opportunity to produce for the Bears. Move to 15th on the list, and that is Jameis Winston going on the road to face the Hawks. Before their bye, Winston came back to life with 4 touchdown passes and 279 yards against Washington. The offense might finally be starting to click as they anxiously await the return of Michael Thomas. Our 16th player is Daniel Jones, who has tumbled down in his last 2. He's thrown for just 340 yards, 3 picks, and not a single touchdown to speak of. However, Carolina has allowed nearly 26 points a game to quarterbacks over the last 2, so he has a decent chance at a rebound, which he sorely needs. At 17, it's Taylor Heineke, who destroyed my soul last week, as we thought he was going to explode and instead busted. Now, that was an excellent matchup, and this is just a decent matchup here, so there's certainly risk. And he has finishes of quarterback 24 and 25 after his first 3 starts of the year were all QB1 finishes. Our 18th ranked player is Carson Wentz. He gets the Niners on the road. And I guess I'm going to have to start being nicer to Carson Wentz. He clearly heard my trash talk and is finding a groove. He has finished in the top 20 at quarterbacks in the last 3 weeks, as both his health has improved as well as Indy's offense as a whole. Up at number 19 is Teddy Bridgewater against the Browns on Thursday night. He's coming off of a hugely disappointing performance where he had 4 turnovers and just had a bunch of garbage time work that helped pad his stats. There is hope, however, and some upside because the Browns allowed 23 points a game to quarterbacks. 20th player is Jimmy Garoppolo. He gets the Colts. Now, Jimmy returns from an injury with the gift of a bottom 8 quarterback defense, so we love that. He's been solid thus far, and in less than 4 full games has 925 passing yards and 6 touchdowns with just 2 picks. At 21, it's Mac Jones going against the Jets. This is a really rough matchup for Jones. I expect a heavy dose of the run game from the Patriots. He finally was able to crack the top 20, but I don't expect it again. At 22, it's Geno Smith against the Saints, and he looked solid in the second half against a really good Steelers defense. However, New Orleans allows just over 13 points a game to the position, so I think he's going to struggle a bit. Now, his playmakers are his only hope of success. Jared Goff is next at 23, and he gets a Rams team that just dismantled the Giants last week. That brings a ton of risk here for Goff. He has just 405 passing yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks in his last 2. The final player on our list before we quickly cover notable omissions is Case Keenum against Denver on Thursday night. Baker Mayfield is going to be out with that shoulder injury, so Case Keenum slides into a less than ideal situation where he's already missing his top 2 running backs and he faces a top 3 defense against quarterbacks. Prayers out to you, Case. You're going to need them. The 2 notable omissions that we have start with Zach Wilson against the Patriots. I expect a very unwelcoming environment for the rookie who has 4 touchdowns and 11 picks so far this year. Then we have Davis Mills, and not much needs to be said about Mills other than he has struggled significantly. He has 555 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks in his last 2, but Arizona has been absolutely merciless to the position so far. Let's now quickly go through our kickers before we send you on your way. At number 1, it's Justin Tucker. He gets the matchup with the Bengals. At 2, Matt Gay against Detroit. There's going to be plenty of kicking opportunities for him. Nick Folk is next against the Jets. I think New England moves the ball well, and he's going to see plenty of chances. At 4, it's Harrison Butker. There is going to be a lot of kicking and a lot of scoring in that game against Tennessee. Rounding out the top 5 is Matt Prater. Now, while I think they're going to score a lot of touchdowns in Arizona, The matchup against Houston is too good, and there should be some field goals as well. At 6, it is Ryan Suckup. I think Tampa Bay moves the ball pretty well most of the day. However, the Bears have a solid defense and could force them to a couple field goals. 7 is Young Ho Koo. I already talked about the high-scoring affair I believe is going to happen between Atlanta and Miami. At 8, it's Daniel Carlson for the Raiders. They get the Eagles. They're going to move the ball just fine. Mason Crosby is 9, and I just like him a little bit less because I think Green Bay is in for more touchdowns against the football team. At 10, it is Jason Sanders, the kicker for Miami. At 11, we have Randy Bullock for Tennessee against those Chiefs. And rounding out our top 12 is Evan McPherson for Cincinnati in that showdown with Baltimore. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please drop those down below. If you're new or you haven't quite done it yet, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. I am Abraham Opatz, your host. This is Relentless Press, and we'll see you next time.